And welcome back to Flyboys in Beaver Creek. I am Chris Collins at the end of the table down to my right and here left on the screen. If you're watching on the stream through Wright State's athletic site, Coach Jim Brown. And, of course, right in center is the head coach of the Wright State University Raiders men's team, and that is Scott Nagy. Raiders right now 8-10 overall. A tough loss to Northern Kentucky on Friday night. Coach came off a win against Oakland on the road. Have to play again. It's 5 straight games away from home over 3 weekends here, and I thought the team played hard. They extremely played hard in that game. A couple of defensive breakdowns in that second half. Another close loss in this game. You said at the end of the game you were happy with their effort, but there's some things you got to clean up.
Yeah, I thought our guys played hard, but defensively in the second half, going back and looking at the film to see the number of easy shots that they got at the basket. It's not so much the threes that hurt us. It was the layups, the uncontested layups. I guess I'd prefer that we just put them on the free throw line than just let them shoot layups. But it was twice that we scored, and we turned around. They shot a layup on the other end, and I think that part of their plan was whoever Loudon was guarding was going to sprint the floor, and they just wanted to make sure that Loudon ran the floor hard every time. It had to run the floor every time, and after watching the film, there's certainly some adjustments that we can make because their goal was just to wear us down, but. You'd like to say, well, they played 10 players, we played. That wasn't the case. They played 8 guys, and we played 8 guys, and really the minutes were pretty similar. And so the big difference was late in the game when everybody was tired. When they were tired and we were tired, they executed very well, and we didn't.
Yeah, they got some big baskets late, and they went into McDonald 3 times in a row, and you guys went into Loudon 3 times in a row. And Loudon missed a couple shots which he could have very easily made, and it would have been a difference. They went down 3 times in a row. They went down to McDonald. One time you guys stripped him, but the other 2 times he was able to score. But I thought the key thing at the end of the game was it was a 2-point game, and they called timeout, and they set up a play to shoot a 3, McDonald. And I think it was a called play.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was going to shoot that no matter what. They just figured with Loudon guarding him, he wouldn't get out and guard him.
Yeah.
Loudon's not used to getting out there. We've been pushing Loudon, and, I want Loudon to expect more from himself in terms of being able to guard the perimeter as well as inside.
You're talking about defensive breakdowns in the second half, and the numbers don't lie. Northern Kentucky, 15 of 22 in the second half in that game, 68%, 57% on threes, 4 of 7. That's after holding them to 28% in that first half. Was it adjustments they made or just some breakdowns?
Yeah, I don't know. You trying to make me feel better or what? I mean,
hey, numbers don't lie.
I think just in the flow of the game, sometimes you see that where teams struggle in the first half and play a lot better in the second half. But I do think that fatigue was a factor for us, and they're used to playing faster. We have to slow the game down, particularly if Loudon's going to play 30 to 35 minutes. We have to play slower. And I think that fatigue was a factor, but it was they were just tougher. I'd like to say that wasn't the case, but that was the case.
Well, you have to put that game behind you. Watch the video, and now you look forward to Youngstown State team to play on Thursday, then Cleveland State Saturday. But it's the Penguins first, and I was going through some of their stuff this past weekend. They win another road game. They lost their first 2 games at home. They played 4 straight on the road. They split 2 of those. They start 3 freshmen and 2 sophomores.
Very young, no egos, play hard, play physical. They're the leading rebounding team in the league, the top 25 in the country in offensive rebounding. So a lot of times they just throw it at the rim and then go get it. I mean, they really crash hard. And last year at home we won, but they beat us by 10 on the glass at home. And then I think we beat them there. We were a lot more physical there and played better. But it's just going to be – they're going to be very desperate. They've already lost 2 home games, and they have to feel better about themselves. They've won 2 out of the last 3 road games, and so they're going home, and I'm sure that they're talking about how important this weekend is for them.
Well, you talk about the rebounding. Nas Bohannon, who had his career high against the Raiders here at the Nutter Center a year ago, he's just an athletic guy who just goes and gets balls. You're going to have to rely a lot on your guards to do a good job rebounding that game. Well,
he had 28 rebounds against us last year in 2 games, and he had 15 offensive rebounds, and I mean, those are astounding numbers. And, he's having another great year rebounding the basketball.
And their leading scorer, a freshman, a kid locally here, Coach. You know a little bit about him, Coach Brown, Darius Quisenberry from Wayne High School.
Started at Tecumseh. He and his brother and his sister were all good players at Tecumseh, and then I think his senior year, junior senior year, after his older brother graduated from Tecumseh, he transferred to Wayne. He either played his last 2 years at Wayne or just 1 year.
Yeah, his last 2 years.
Last 2 years.
Good kid, played hard. We recruited him. He chose Youngstown, and he's getting to play a lot for him, and he's their leading scorer.
Last year they had two really good players, Cameron Morris and that Braun Hartfield, who and that guy was hard to guard, and he was only a sophomore, and he left for some reason. I don't know where he's at now, but they're a different team this year in that they play a ton more people. They're playing 10.
Well, they have, even in league, they've played 16 people in league.
I know.
I mean, we couldn't do that. It would take us 2 years to play 16 people in league. But yeah, they're playing a lot of people. Their entire team is brand new except for 2 players, and so it's going to take us a little while to get used to them.
Some of the names have changed with the team. We've talked about a few of them already, but do they still play the same style, Coach? What you've seen on video?
They do. I think here lately they've tried to slow down just a little bit, but yeah, they're going to press some. They're going to try to play fast. They're going to be very physical. They shoot a lot of threes, but they're leading the league in 3-point field goal percentage. They shoot the most of them in the league. They don't get to the free throw line as much because they shoot more threes, and they really don't have much of a post-up game. But they play fast, and they have a lot of good shooters, not just a couple, but they have a lot of kids that are really shooting the ball well.
Do you think a team that shoots a lot of threes has an advantage when it comes to getting offensive rebounds? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody that's done stats on that.
I think there's more of an advantage of if we know that we're going to shoot it, because there are some guys that release and go to the glass even before the ball's gone up, and so they get themselves in a pretty good position. Bohannon is one of those guys, and once he gets to a certain spot, he's hard to move because he's 6'6", 230 pounds. And so I think that guys that are good rebounders that know their team are going to shoot a lot of threes. I mean, it just depends on how well they can anticipate it, but these guys get them up. They're going to try to shoot threes early in transition, and then they're going to shoot them late when their clock runs down.
When we played Northern, they had a comment in their press release that they were 20th in the country in 3-point baskets made, and they had made the same number we had, 155. These guys have made 186. So your point's well taken. I haven't watched all their games, but I've watched a couple of them, and they take some crazy ones. I mean, they take some.
They shoot a lot of them, but they're shooting 42% in league, and that's a tremendous number. And so we're gonna have to guard the arc well. This is what we've been trying to do, and we have been guarding the arc a lot better than we were earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, we were awful, and so we started guarding the arc better. But then what happened is our defense got spread out, and we started giving up easy baskets. And so that's been the goal, that we don't give up easy threes and we don't give up any layups.
All right, we'll take our first break. We're talking with Scott Nagy, the head coach of the Wright State University men's basketball team. We'll have more after these messages. This is Wright State University basketball.
Come celebrate Wright State's 20th Arts Gala on April 13th. Enjoy an incredible evening of performances by our talented art students, plus fine dining and auction items too. All proceeds support arts scholarships. That's Arts Gala on April 13th.
Along with Coach Jim Brown, we're here with some good fans here from Wright State at the Flyboys Deli in Beaver Creek. Come on, stop by. We're going to be here up until 7 o'clock tonight. Back again next week with both the women's and men's show here at Flyboys. And we appreciate them having us in this year, and we appreciate having you out here tonight. And, Coach, we talked a little bit about the next opponent, Youngstown State, coming up on Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the Beagley Center. That's the next game. Then it'll be Cleveland State on Saturday. But looking at some of the stats, it's early in the league. You see 5 games for the Raiders. A lot of teams have played 6 games already, but Wright State offensively, number 9 out of the 10-team league in scoring offense, averaging about 71 points per game, but defensively, number 3 in the league at 71.8. So the margin, it's right around the same.
That really doesn't mean anything in terms of like whether or not you're good offensively, because what you'd want to look at, and I don't see it on there, and they generally don't keep that on there, because that doesn't take into account pace of game at all. And because we're playing Loudon and we're playing 35 minutes a game, we're going to play slower. And so in our games, there are fewer possessions. So really the question is points per possession offensively and points per possession defensively, and I don't know what it is in the league. And so when I look at those stats, they don't mean anything to me.
Well, I haven't seen the stats on this, but it just seems like watching a lot of the games in the league so far this year, just league games alone, we're seeing a lot of three-point attempts, a lot of three-point baskets, either being scored at the percentages. Some teams doing well, some teams are not, but you're just seeing a lot more of them taking the attempts.
Yeah, and to me, it's just it's the easy route. It's much harder to move the basketball and convince guys that the 5 of us out here together, our job is to get the very best shot we can get, not just get any shot. And the 3-point shot is such an easy shot to take. You don't have to work hard to get it. And so there are some people that just don't work as hard. We're going to try to work a little bit harder. And I say that we took 40 in one game, and a lot of those were good ones. But it just is. You don't have to work hard to get a 3-point shot at all.
Is it because of the defenses and how they play? Do they just dare you to try to make those shots from the outside?
No, I just think for players today, that's just an easier shot. It just is. But when you shoot a lot of those, you don't get to the free throw line. And in my opinion, the free throw line is the most important part of the game because that's where you shoot your best percentage. And like I say, if we could get to the free throw line every time down the floor, we'd score 150 points.
You talk about players these days, they take the easy route, like you say, and shoot the threes. Could some of this be because of, what you see now even at the pro level with guys like Steph Curry and his teammate Klay Thompson?
There is no question about that has affected the game mightily. And people talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and I think Steph Curry has probably affected the game more than any of that because before he came along, nobody was taking that many threes. And so, then people talk about, how, again, if you're shooting a high percentage from three, your points per possession, because mathematically you have to shoot 33% from three to be like shooting 50 from two.
Right.
But again, what I say is nobody takes into account, if you're just looking at that, you don't take into account the number of times you get to the free throw line. You don't get to the free throw line shooting threes. You get to the free throw line by being at the basket.
Yeah, your point's well taken because the last 11 points in the first half the other night down there in Northern got points at the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean we they were physical and we fouled and the free throw line, like it's always one of my goals to make as many free throws as the other team shoots. And over the year, if you do that, you're going to have a highly successful year.
Well, the three-point basket, it's interesting we talk about this. Just a few years back, they moved the line back a little bit. Should it be something discussed again of moving it back maybe to the NBA level?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You could move it back to the half court if you want. Some people are still going to shoot them. And
well, I think it's just a matter of time. It's going to get moved back because I think
it'll probably get moved back to the international line.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And,
I think that's exactly what happened. And my personal opinion is it needs to be moved back because it's gotten to the point where there's too many three-point shots being taken. And as you said, it's that's what was impressive the other night. We only took, I think, 4 in the first half. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of that had to do with Northern's defense. They came out and really guarded us on the perimeter, but still, we took 4 and we were up 3 at halftime.
Yeah, I think since the 40 attempt game against UIC, we've really calmed down from the three-point line, and we've attacked the basket more. We've thrown it in more, and some of that just has to do, quite frankly, with Loudon getting a little more healthy. He was even in the UIC game was not very healthy, and so as he slowly gets healthy, we're just going to throw the ball into him more.
What about post play? And I'm not going to talk specifically, but I'm just talking in generalities. You can go back to LSU with Coach Dale Brown, and he had a guy named Shaquille O'Neal. As far as, and I'm saying, again, I'm just talking about how do you get a guy to be able to, I guess what I'm trying to say here is to get into a flow with the officials on a little bit different as far as contact with a big guy compared to somebody a little bit smaller.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. I think that bigger guys are at a disadvantage when it comes to that because of the level of contact. There was a play, and I can't remember which game it was, but Loudon really took a charge. But you just don't move him. You run. A player drives and hits him, and he's in great position, and it should be an offensive foul. But because he doesn't move or fall down like the normal person would, he doesn't end up getting that call. And so I do think that in some cases the big people are at a disadvantage, and they're just not allowed to move. There was a play where McDonald and Loudon kind of bumped each other as he came down the floor, and Loudon got the foul call and. So that's just the way it is. You don't spend a lot of time whining about it. You better figure it out, and so don't do that. Don't bump people.
Here's the issue I have, though, is Loudon gets double and triple teamed a lot of times when he touches the ball, and it's very difficult to double and triple team somebody, and when that guy moves, to not foul him. I mean, to not foul him, and that's where I have an issue. I think, he gets double teamed so much, and in some cases triple teamed, and he makes an attempt to go to the basket, and he gets bumped, he gets pushed, and that should be called. And it's just, your point. You see this in high school all the time. The biggest kid on the floor, the referees hold it against him because they think it's unfair that he's that tall, and I think that affects a big guy. Big guy.
But I think our officials do a good job, and it just is. Like I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time complaining about it.
Can't do anything about it.
No, you can't.
You just got to move on and try to figure it out.
And, I think that quite often coaches spend too much time worrying about the officiating. And I think as I've gotten older, I do it less, and I try to spend more time focused on my team.
I guess my question, too, is it's not just, from that standpoint, the officiating, but what do you do to try to help coach a guy to be able to adjust, to something
Loudon
like that?
He does a pretty good job. I mean, he's very rarely in foul trouble. Now, he was earlier, his freshman year, he did a great job of it. Earlier this year, he was in some foul trouble, but here in league play, he's done a pretty good job of staying out of foul trouble. Now, he ended up with 2 fouls with about 5 minutes to go in the first half of this one. One of them was what I thought was not a very smart foul. The other one was just a hustle play where he ran into a kid. But he's done a pretty good job of staying out of foul trouble.
Coach Brown, you had the situation with Vitaly Potapenko, who was here. You see some of the similarities?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Vitaly had fouls called on him when he just bumped somebody. And it's always, the bigger the guy, it's not so much size, it's bulk. And when you're bulky and you're big, I think a lot of times officials look at you and say, well, you can take that. It's not going to affect you because you have an advantage to begin with. But I think
some of that's probably just human nature.
Yes,
I don't think think it's purposeful.
No,
that's going on.
No, it's not purposeful at all. It's just you're exactly right. They see a big guy and they figure he can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, I never had to worry about that when I played middle school. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more of the Scott Nagy Show. This is Wright State University basketball.
What does it mean to be a pioneer, reaching your full potential? It means being bold. No, bigger than bold, monumental. Having no fear in the face of adversity, essential. They doubt us, inconsequential. Where would we be if we cease at the first "you can't do that"? You see, we set out to be what we see in you. Innovators, free thinkers, seekers of truth. At Wright State, our goal remains central. We are the pioneers of potential.
And welcome back, along with Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown, Scott Nagy, head coach of the Wright State Raiders in his 3rd season. Raiders 2-3 so far in the Horizon League through the first 5 contests, and 8-10 overall. They'll take on Youngstown State on Thursday, and then Cleveland State on Saturday. And Coach, kind of get off the basketball trail, so to speak, a little bit right now. We were talking during that break. I talked to some weather people who I have a close connection with, and they say that we could get another 8 to 12 inches of snow on Saturday. Now, it's way too early. Don't run to the grocery stores, but it's also supposed to happen up in Cleveland. But it made me think about, 8 to 12 inches of snow, we had to put up with it over the weekend. Now, you and most of your staff came from South Dakota, in South Dakota State. Talk about some of the things that you guys had to put up with for so many years.
Well, really what affected us more was the flying, because we had to fly so much more, and particularly if you got to fly through Chicago and you get bumped at all, then it's a problem because you're traveling with 20 to 25 people. And so it just is tough. I was telling you that it's tough to go to North Dakota in January. It's not any fun at all. And the last time I was there, it was 15 below, and I walked out to the bus, and I slipped on the ice and dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
And so, they barely got it popped back in before the game started, so I had to coach the whole game like that. But it's a different kind of cold for sure. I brought my snowblower with me here, and I don't use it very often, but I did use it yesterday, and it sounds like maybe I'll have to use it again this weekend.
Yeah, we've been pretty lucky over the last
few years.
We did
have. There was one time where we were actually in Nashville, and we had a road trip from Montana to Belmont to University of New Mexico. That was our road trip. I mean, that's a crazy road trip, right? And so we're in Belmont, and we're trying to fly, and it's near Thanksgiving, and we have to go through Chicago, and we can't do it.
Okay.
We can't do it because we get bumped. So we had to take a bus from Nashville to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
How long did that take?
And so it took about, I can't remember how long it took, but it was 2 days. It was it ended up being a 2-day trip. We got in there the night before at about 5 o'clock. We played noon the next day. And I remember our guys, we practiced that night, and we'd gotten beat by Belmont. We beat Montana in overtime. And our guys were really ornery, and we're about ready to fight and practice. A lot of stuff going on, and we thought, oh, my, and we're playing the 16th ranked team in the country the next day.
Yeah.
And we go and beat them at their place. And so, you never know what's going to happen. But those are crazy road trips for sure that we talk about. We've had to take some long bus trips because of ice and snow.
Yeah, Coach Brown, you can remember a few times you talked about a trip you guys took to, what was it, Eastern Illinois when you were back with the Raiders coaching?
Yeah, we played at Eastern Illinois, and we were going to fly to Green Bay. And everything was fine until about 15 minutes before we left. They said the plane's been canceled. So our bus driver drove us up Interstate 65 all the way to Green Bay. And, I mean, there were semis off the road. It was, you could go 10 miles an hour. It was a blizzard. Anyway, when he got off the bus, our guys got up and gave him a standing ovation. Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. It was
they can't drive as much anymore.
Yeah,
they have to switch bus drivers. And
so
there's some of that stuff. But we play a night game in Cleveland, and like you say, they're supposed to get a lot of snow up there, and that's what they're anticipating, and maybe here too.
Well, we'll see, though. We're seeing right now, they said they'll know more about it probably by the middle of the week. But right now they're expecting a storm to come through. It could be mostly rain or freezing rain, or it could be some snow. So we'll keep an eye on that.
I do laugh, though. We get 8 or 10 inches of snow, and everybody runs to the store. And
no, we get 1 or 2, and everybody runs to the store here.
It's true.
Yeah, it's a little different than what I came from, for sure.
What was it like there, though? I mean, was there always snow on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, once it snows in November, you're probably not going to see the ground until March or April.
As I wonder why Coach Cooley always walks around. It's like 30 degrees here, in shorts still, when we go on road trips.
Yeah, we're a little more used to it. Don't wear the heavy coats and some of those things.
It's got to be tough as far as scheduling too, and putting up with things like that. Well, let's hope that the snow doesn't hit like that, but let's hope the Raiders get a win. So if we have to take a long time to get back, safely,
this is a very, very maybe the most important weekend for us. I really believe that, particularly with these being the last two of a road stretch of 5, and where we sit in league. I mean, this is important because when we come home, we're going to have the next 7 out of 9, I think, at home. And so these 2 games, in terms of how we play, may determine everything for us. It
all starts with Youngstown State, the game. 7 o'clock, we'll be on the air on the radio beginning at 6:45 on Big 106.5. Coach Brown and I will have the call on that one. Of course, also available for those who subscribe to ESPN+. Stay with us. Our 2 special guests coming up next. We've got Mark Hughes, the senior, also sophomore, Loudon Love, joining us between now and 7 o'clock. This is the Scott Nagy Show. We'll have more Wright State University men's basketball talk when we continue after these messages. Hey, and we're back here at Flyboys Deli in Beaver Creek. Yes, streaming live on the Wright State University website through the athletic department, and also right here on AM 980 WONE. We do it just about every Monday night through the season, both men's and women's shows. Again, we'll be back next week. Katrina Merriweather will join us on Monday night at 5:30 here at Flyboys, and then Coach Scott Nagy will be back again next Monday at 6. And joining us right now, sophomore, yes, he's from the state of Illinois. he sat down, and we really appreciate him being here tonight. Folks, give a nice round of applause for Loudon Love.
Thanks
Yes.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we haven't been able to talk to you for a while, Loudon. Coming into this season, a lot of expectations, but you know what? That's good. That just shows how much respect that you get, around the league. It happens. Injuries happen. You've been able to battle through that ankle injury to this point, and I think you're playing very well. I think you're learning. You're continuing to get a little bit better. I'm going to ask you this question right at the top. What's it been like, the center of attention as far as the other team's defense on you this year and the adjustments that you've had to make?
To start the year, it might have been me just because we play a lot of non-conference games. They look at a lot of the numbers and stuff from last year. But as we get into the season, I think the focus has kind of just been spread throughout the team. Like you saw in our last game, Mark Hughes, who's also here, being downhill, and Cole Gentry and Bill being able to shoot the ball, obviously, and Allen just bringing energy at every single turn of the game. So I think it's kind of been more spread out, and it's become easier for me, obviously. But at the same time, I don't think it was ever a huge primary focus for a ton of people, but I think it might be in their game plan, yeah.
Okay, we're playing 5 games already through the league so far. A lot of the games have been away. The first 2, we're at home. Lost a tough one at the buzzer against UIC. Just have to put that behind you right now. But I think over the last 2 games, the team continues to play really hard. You've been involved in a lot of close games, and there's still a lot of games to be played. Just asking you right on, obviously the mindset of this team is, hey, we can still win this league. And Coach Brown talked about it at the end of the game. You take on Northern Kentucky and, things go your way, you can end up beating them there.
No, absolutely. The league, everyone's playing pretty well. Detroit's even up in the top, which I don't think many people would have expected. And then going into Northern Kentucky, playing basketball the way we did, which wasn't the best basketball we could have played, and only being down 4 at the end there, you definitely still have hope. Never hopeless here in our position. Absolutely not. But hopefully we look forward to get some more wins, start on this road trip here with 2 wins this weekend.
Sometimes as a coach that coached a long time, you can see, that there's a lot of games to be played. It's like a guy in baseball that strikes out the first time and he knows, well, he's got 3 more opportunities and he's going to treat each of those differently. For young players who are going through this, your expectations were to win the league and you started out 2-3. How difficult has it been to psychologically understand that, hey, look, we've got 15 league games,
13
league games left. That's a lot of games, and we're still in this thing. As a former coach and a broadcaster, we're definitely still in this thing. But as a player, how difficult has that been?
It's a little hard. Obviously, with the start we've had in conference, it's not ideal. It's not what we thought we were going to do. It's not what we wanted. It's not what other people expected of us. So it's definitely a little hard. But then you see our win at Oakland on the road. We could have had 20-plus point win there. Obviously, down the stretch, we kind of did some substitutions and stuff, and it was still a great win for us on the road. So those are the kind of things you got to focus on going forward, and know that you still have a chance, and just know if you know you have a chance and you think that way, then you really do. I
think you're playing well enough to win. That's the thing. It's little things, and I'll tell you what, the basketball gods have not treated us very well this year. They just haven't. I'm just being honest. We've lost 3 games at the buzzer, and then 2 3-point shots the other night that Northern Kentucky did. There's no way either one of them should have gone in, and they did. And it's just those kind of things kind of manifest themselves in some of our losses. And that's why I think it's so important that you guys keep a positive attitude, because this is a long ways to go. And these teams that you're playing on the road right now got to come to the Nutter Center.
Absolutely. They had to come to the Nut House and play us here, and hopefully we'll get those ones back that we lost, and hopefully we'll get one up on the teams we beat on the road. But, yeah, like you said, we just got to keep looking forward and be positive about it. Absolutely.
And I think the guys have done a really good job here in the last – particularly since conference started, of getting the ball into you. You've been getting great position inside. And, a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to make that pass from the wing to the post. And because there's just a small time where you're actually open, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I remember I was in your class about 2 years ago, and we were talking about the entry pass and stuff like that, and it was so fundamental in that point. And then, getting in basketball, actually starting to play, because that was a first semester class, and I started playing college basketball. You see how hard it is. It's way harder than high school because there's more size out there, so it's not easy to just throw it over them. And then even in the post, it's hard because, if someone like Parker, 6'11", gets a hand around, that makes people not want to throw because it looks like he's really full front when he's only got a hand because he's so long. So it definitely is a lot harder than people may think it is. But no, absolutely, the guard's been working their tail off getting in there, and I appreciate it. And hopefully I can get him some kick-out threes from it here soon.
Well, that's the biggest difficulty because, you're getting double-teamed virtually every time you touch the ball, and you don't have any idea where the double team's coming from a lot of times, right? I mean,
we'll talk about it a little bit, but even in the heat of the game, I mean, sometimes you forget that stuff and you kind of mesh together which teams are doing what, you know. So it's not too easy.
And it's making the decision real quickly, going to let you get double teams, sometimes triple team down in the post. You got to know where some guy is. Is that something when you talk about with your teammates where they may be, so you can quickly make that pass to them?
No, they're pretty good at shaping up. I think at NKU, towards the end there, when I was getting pretty physical in the post, I could have made some better decisions as far as kicking it out, when to kick it out, and stuff like that. And that's something I got to work on. Just recognizing it's not time you put in the gym. It's time you look at the film, and then you recognize it, and that's stuff you can change almost immediately. So it's something that I look forward to changing here in a second.
Before you got here, I was talking with Coach Merriweather about video now and how the technology now has changed so much over the last 5 or 6 years. Talk a little bit about it from a player's standpoint and what you get from that and how you can apply it to making yourself better.
No, absolutely. I mean, Coach Cooley and the other assistants, they'll chop up film for you and give you clips that are kind of tailored to you and tailored to the time frame of the game. Whether we were on a run, they were on a run. It helps you see what the cause is and what the action is. At Oakland, we had multiple plays where people getting on the floor multiple times, and that kind of shows our start to that game and how we played later on in that game. So it's the confidence early is a big thing, and those kind of things are keys you can hit on as a coach with the film, and I think we're doing a pretty good job picking it up as players.
We had a chance to talk to you right now because with the game at Oakland was a week from Saturday, but getting on the floor, that really inspired your team, not once but twice, hitting the floor up at Oakland against the Golden Grizzlies. I thought, says a lot about you and your desire to win games.
No, absolutely. I joked about it with them and said I think I used up all my floor dives for the year. Obviously, that's not the case, but no, it is. If that's what I got to do to get the team energy and help us play the best we can, then absolutely I'm willing to do that.
Games can be so physical. How do you adapt to that? As far as not talking about officiating because, let's face it, they're human beings, and it's a little different each game.
Absolutely.
Now in your second season, you have to adjust to that. There are times when we see players talking with officials who are trying to be helpful and tell them, okay, this is what you need to do. This is why I called this. Do you hear a lot of that? You do a lot of conversation with the officials?
Yeah, I think this year more than any because it is very physical down there. And, and I think the refs, because there's the new rules about 90 degrees to arm and how you got to get around on defense and all that. So it's coming a lot harder to kind of define what you can and can't do down there. And they're figuring out, and they talk to us a lot, and I think it helps us a lot, and you can kind of get a feel in the beginning of the game and then work through it throughout the game on what different refs are doing. But as far as all goes, if you just post hard, it usually fixes most of it.
Talk a little bit about your free throw shooting. It's
really
gotten
better.
It's really getting a lot. You look so much more comfortable at the free throw line now. I mean, when you go to the free throw line now, I expect you to make it.
I think it's on road trips because at home you all make me nervous. I don't know because I don't know what it is. You guys make me a little nervous on the road. I feel a little better, and obviously that gives me confidence going into home games. Obviously that's how it works. But no, I've worked on it a lot. It felt better at the beginning of the year. It wasn't doing too well, and I was kind of upset about it for how much time I put in. But it's getting back to that, and I'm obviously still in there working on it. So
yeah, it's a. Once you get the mechanics down, it's a mental thing. It's just totally a mental thing. And if you miss the first one, I mean, I was a good free throw shooter when I played, but I mean, I could go in the dumper real easy too. It's just like anybody can.
No, absolutely. It's hard to stay positive, and I think that's my biggest. I beat myself up almost too much over it, and I think keying in on the positivity makes it easier.
That's what's so amazing about Cole Gentry.
Oh,
you people realize Cole Gentry.
He doesn't think about it.
He shoots it.
I mean, we'll get a technical, and he'll just start walking the line because we know he knows he's shooting it. We all know he's shooting it because it's going to go in.
He hasn't missed a free throw in the league. 5 games, he hasn't missed a league.
Yeah, we're knocking on wood.
Well, he won't miss them. I mean, that guy's automatic.
Loudon, Coach talked about how he thought he was a pretty good free throw shooter, but the reason why, he was taught by the best, his mother.
Yeah.
Tell that story. She was really good.
When I was growing up, my mom played high school basketball, and one time the score was tied, and they played a couple overtimes, and the coaches decided, well, we'll just have each team put a free throw shooter at the line. So, of course, Mom got picked, and she made all 5 of hers, and they won the championship. And I heard it all the time that she made 48 out of 50 free throws. And so I don't know. From the
percentage.
time I started playing until I think it was like a ninth grader, I finally made 49. I ran in the house. She thought something serious had happened, and I told her I had made 49 free throws. But anyway, yeah, it's a mental thing. I mean, you can be a really good shooter, and you get up there and you get out of rhythm. And but you're doing a good job. I mean, I can tell now. You go to the line and you're expecting to make it.
We're talking with Loudon Love, the sophomore center here at Wright State University. The Raiders back in action against Youngstown State on Thursday, a 7 o'clock tip-off. And, Loudon, I get a lot of questions asked me by the other broadcasters. We go on the road, non-conference, even in conference games. They say, that guy is so big. Why isn't he playing football? Now, you told me last year, you said you've loved basketball ever since you've been a kid.
No, absolutely. It's always been my thing. My brothers always excelled in football. As I got older and I was bigger than them, obviously I started excelling in football as well, just because of like natural my size and everything. But no, I didn't really I couldn't see doing that as a 9-to-5 type deal every day all year long. But I really enjoy it here. Enjoy the community. It's great. Enjoy the people and enjoy my teammates a lot. So it's a lot easier to do that in football.
And Dayton has Bill's Donuts, right?
Yeah, Dayton has Bill's Donuts. Absolutely. Are we advertising that here?
No, I found out early in your freshman year how fond you were of Bill's
Giles
Donuts.
lives around there. Adam Giles lives around there, so we went there a few times. It's a good place. It's a good place.
It
When
is
you drive
good.
by, you might as well stop.
I know, exactly.
Got a shirt.
Well, you talk about Adam Giles, and boy, what a compliment he is, to this team and all the things that he does. Walk on from Miamisburg. He's a tremendous athlete, and he bangs up against you every day in practice.
No, absolutely. And when he was a walk-on, obviously they awarded him a scholarship day after Christmas, which was crazy. None of us knew.
Really?
So that was very neat.
That is neat.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right. He deserves it.
That is neat.
Yeah.
But, he works really hard. And then obviously we kind of had a more work on us day to day, kind of, and you can't really tell things like people say. People usually think walk-ons are noticeably different in size or this kind of stuff, but in all characters of the game, I mean, he really is just as good as all of us, and he works just as hard, if not harder. So it's definitely great for him and good for us.
Well, Loudon, we appreciate you taking time out. Classes started again today.
Yes, they did.
Thanks for coming by, and we appreciate it, and best of luck. You're going to have a great last 13 games
Thank you. I
in the
appreciate
league.
it.
All right, stay with us. But when we come back, we got a senior. He's from Youngstown. He'll be talking about the game coming up this Thursday. It's Mark Hughes. Stay with us. This is the Scott Nagy Show, Wright State University basketball.
Hi, I'm Bob Grody, class of 1976 and former Raiders player and coach. Did you know that once you're a Wright State grad, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association? As a member, tap into the Wright State Network, attend the local alumni event, and earn discounts and special offers. Log on to WrightStateAlumni.com and make the most of your membership. Thank you, and go Raiders.
The Scott Nagy Show. We are at Fly Boys Deli in Beaver Creek. We've got about 15 more minutes to go. Our thanks to Loudon Love, sophomore center here at Wright State University, and also Scott Nagy between 6 and 7 o'clock. And now we bring in from Youngstown, Ohio. He's in his senior year, 6'4" guard here at Wright State, Mark Hughes. And, Mark, every time we head back to Youngstown the last couple of years, your mom's been extra special nice to Coach Brown and me. Can we expect some more? Well, you were talking about donuts earlier, but your mom gave us some really nice ones last year.
You guys could definitely expect them. I mean, she's become quite a fan of passing out donuts to you guys when we come to Youngstown, so she'll take care of you, definitely.
Well, it's their senior year. There's still a lot of games left, 13 games left. You look at the Horizon League right now, things are bunched up, and, you just have to take them one at a time. I know it's a cliche, and you've been around long enough, you know that too. How do you go ahead and help as far as being senior leadership with the rest of this team and getting people to think on that same level?
Really, it just starts in practice. Having more of a voice this year is something I've definitely been working on, just because guys look to seniors for leadership. So it definitely starts in practice, and just a constant reminder from Coach Nagy that it is one game at a time. We got a lot more to play, so taking one game at a time and approach every game with a winning attitude is really all you can ask for, and hopefully we'll start winning some games here very soon.
Mark, as we call the games, things go so fast, but, I take time and timeouts, observe things. I think you've really been focused this year. I think in every game that you were focused, and you hit those two big free throws and that tough loss to SMU where, the Raiders maybe could have had a win there late down in Cancun. You put up solid numbers every game. I mean, the coaching staff, they say, hey, we know what we can count on with Mark Hughes. 6 of 7 against Northern Kentucky, made both of you three-point attempts. 14 points. You're averaging over double figures right now. That's good. You continue to give your input to this team, but you just want to start seeing some W's on this team.
Yeah, definitely. It starts with me. I've been kind of our rock this season, just somebody to count on. At the same time, we're playing well right now. We're doing a lot of good things to win games, and it's really coming down to one or two few plays at the end that really are deciding games, and we'll definitely start finishing games. And like I said before, just taking it one game at a time is very important for us, just because from a confidence standpoint, we just need to start believing we're the best team in the league, like we were picked to finish.
Yeah, I think that's what I was talking to Loudon about, because I think as a coach, you can see that because you've gone through it. You, as a coach, you've had seasons where you've lost some games at the buzzer and so on. But sometimes players don't have that experience, and you guys, there's been a lot of things go against us right from the start. Losing Jalen Hall and then losing Grant Basile and then having 3 games decided at the buzzer, and it's been tough. But I do think you're playing really good basketball. I really do, and I think you're going to get rewarded for it as time goes on. That's why I think, as Coach Nagy said, this weekend is so important, because you get these two. Then you've got some games at home where you can string some wins together.
Yeah, this road trip is very important for us. Road wins they're hard to come by, especially in this league with a lot of good teams. So this next road trip is very huge for us, just to give us some momentum to playing a couple more games in another center.
Mark Hughes, who's a senior guard here at Wright State, it's always special, to go home. What's it like for you when you go back to Youngstown? Now this will be the 4th year you've gone back there as a Wright State player.
It's always definitely a showing, just from my family and friends standpoint. Usually bring in a lot of people from the city, people I've known from high school, I grew up with in grade school. So it's always just a little more special to me, and I always obviously want to play well for all of my friends and family. But yeah, especially me just being from Youngstown, city pride is something that we take very seriously there. I love Youngstown. I love coming home and playing. And so I'm just going to try and enjoy this last hurrah in the city. So. And
it's a game that your team really needs right now.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't seem that long ago, Mark, that we were doing a game up there, Chris and I. Coach Donald was the coach, and somebody said, well, there's Mark Hughes step in the stands, and went up and introduced myself, and gosh, that just seems like time flies.
I mean, time flies when you're having fun. But I do remember that interaction, because I was talking to Coach Donlin, and I was talking to him about you, meeting you for the first time. I'm pretty sure it was our first time meeting.
Yes, it was.
And he was talking about how you and Chris called the games and stuff. So, yeah, I remember that, definitely.
Yeah, you had some of your buddies were there, and it's just amazing how now you're a senior, you're in your last year. At times, it just when you go to college, it seems like 4 years is a long time, and then boy, it's the best 4 years. I've always said college is the best 4 years of your life. If you didn't have to study, it would be great. It would be absolutely fantastic.
Definitely.
Well, what's it been like for you, though? You say it's gone by so fast right now. That journey, and still there's 13 games to go in the regular season. You ever have time to kind of sit back and and reflect on what it's been like for Mark Hughes since he's been here at Wright State? Just no time to?
I feel like it's not a whole lot of time to, just because I'm more focused on my teammates and trying to enjoy this last season. I mean, I started my last semester of college today, which is crazy to think about. Yeah. But, I'm just trying to enjoy the little bit of time I have left and make the most of it.
Well, speaking about, with your classes and whatever, never asked you this before. What's your major here?
Sports science.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so hopefully I play basketball overseas next year, and when I'm done with that, obviously play as long as I can. After that, I want to do what Coach Cole does with strength and conditioning for a college or professional team, something like that.
Yeah, Cole Pitchford you're talking about right now. I was talking with Coach Merriweather about, players playing overseas, and Wright State has a good contingent. They have 11 players right now who are playing over in Europe right now. Yeah,
I know Grant, Stephen Davis, Biggie Menace, Justin Mitchell all playing overseas, playing really well, actually. Mark Allstark also. And so, a lot of global Raiders repping the brand overseas. So, I would love to continue that next year.
Well, your game's suited for that because you shoot the ball outside. You're an excellent defender. Your game is ideally suited for over there. You'll do fine. That's a ways away, and we got
Absolutely.
You got a lot more to
Lot of-
great
lot of-
games here at
lot
Wright
of
State
wins
before you
left.
head
Yeah,
on.
definitely.
You know, we were also talking about the three-point shot a lot. I don't know if you were here. We discussed it a little
Yeah.
bit. You know, and Coach talks about, yeah, it's been an influence. You know, guys like Steph Curry and his teammate Klay Thompson and Harden, James Harden. You see a lot of three-point shots. Is this something players look at and they see, well, okay, this is the way the game is going right now?
I think it's definitely something players look at just in terms of nowadays, if you want to be on the floor, you got to be able to shoot the ball. It's really hard to hide people who can't shoot the ball nowadays, especially in the NBA, where you're talking about the greatest players in the world. So I just feel like players nowadays look at that and see big men, 6'10", 7 feet, shooting outside shots. So I just think they look to that as an opportunity of seeing the floor more.
But they always talk about the game getting faster every level that you go up and play fast. That means you got to have a quicker release. You can't just stand there and take a lot of time and take a shot.
Yeah, definitely, especially at the NBA level. The shot clock's a lot shorter, and the players just are a lot bigger, so it's not a whole lot of time for you to get your shot off. So I could definitely see how there would be a jump from college to NBA. Shot
Selection yourself, when you get set up, do you try to get yourself ready to shoot, from a three? Are there times you think you can take a guy off the dribble?
It's definitely situational. I feel like just being a bigger guard, there's a lot of times where I can just get a three off just because I'm bigger than a lot of players. But, yeah, it's definitely situational, knowing, like, how fast a guy's closing out to you and stuff like that, whether you should shoot or should drive or things like that. It's definitely situational, I would say.
Mind shot of a three-point shooter. It's something like, you just kind of forget if you miss a few in a row. I think a great example of that we had here for the past 4 years last year, and that was Grant Benzinger. He would miss 10 or 11 or whatever, but he could keep on shooting them.
Yeah, definitely. As a shooter, you definitely got to have that short memory just because you don't want your last shot to affect your next one. And, yeah, Grant was the king of that last year. He was taking any shot, and we needed him too, so that was a good thing about him.
Have you had an opportunity even to talk to him at all in the last few months?
Yeah, we definitely talked to him. When he came and visited for the UIC game, we saw him, hung out with him a little bit. So it was just good to catch up and learn a little bit about his experience overseas since I'm going to be playing next year. I was just talking to him about the adjustment and stuff like that.
What were some of the things that he talked about, adjustments? I would imagine from the culture side, basketball, yeah, there was a few things you got to adjust to, but it's actually being there so far away from home.
Yeah, definitely. He said just being on your own halfway across the world was his biggest thing just because he cares a lot about his family, and so do I. I'm a huge family guy. So I would say being away from my family would probably be the biggest adjustment for me.
I understand the people, though, have really welcomed him in. His style of play and just how he relates to people, he's really fit there like a glove.
Yeah, definitely. He's a very likable guy, and people saw last year the way he was diving on the floor, out of bounds for loose balls and stuff. They love it over there is what he's telling me. So I know he's having a good time.
Now, Coach Brown has a lot of experience with the players going to Europe and actually recruiting players from Europe to play here in the United States.
Well, it's changed. I mean, it's changed dramatically because years ago there weren't really opportunities for Americans to play over there because they had rules like you could only have one American on your team, and a lot of guys who had family members who had different passports wouldn't count as an American player. But that's all changed now. I mean, now they might have some rules. I know someone was telling me the other day they have rules where you can only have 3 Americans on the floor at one time and stuff like that. But there's so many more opportunities. But the biggest thing is if you're going to go play in Europe, you've got to be able to shoot the basketball.
Absolutely.
Because their game is, somebody said the other day that look at the European players, the impact that they've had in the NBA. And the NBA has become a three-point shooting league. And some of it is European players and some of it's the shot clock because the shot clock forces you to take a lot of threes. It really does. I mean, whether you like it or not, that's just the rule. But the Europeans have come over here and really impacted the way the game is played in the United States.
I would definitely agree with that. You see the way Luka Doncic
for the
Mavericks playing. He's a really good young European player.
19 years old, right?
Yeah, and just for him to be doing what he's doing at the biggest level in the world is really impressive.
What do you think that is? Are you talking about when they're kids, whatever, they learn different fundamentals?
I don't know. I just think some people have more of a knack, easier time learning basketball in general. So it could be a little bit of that. It could be the time he's putting in the gym. Obviously, you don't get to the NBA without being a gym rat. So I could definitely see it being his time in the gym and really just having a certain skill set that's unique to the NBA and makes him a really good player.
Their approach in Europe is so different than it is here. Here it's all AAU basketball. You play games. Over there, they work on fundamentals. Mike Nahar, who was one of our players here, he runs a sports academy over there, and he was telling me that he runs a sports academy. It's like a high school sports academy, and they come to school in the morning and they do fundamentals for 2 hours. Then they have their classwork, maybe 5 classwork, and then they come back and then they work on what they're going to do to win games. That's what they go through a day. Here, we just play. The fundamentals are the last thing we work on, and that's why European players have come over here and had such an impact.
Yeah, definitely. AAU basketball
has its point, but it's
I think it's definitely bogged down basketball in a sense, just from my personal beliefs, because, like you say, people aren't learning the fundamentals now. People just want to see high-flying athletes and dunks and stuff like that. So
ESPN's to blame for that.
Well, Mark, you're an all-around player. It's not just shooting. You shoot the ball well, percentages are there, you're scoring when you have to, but also defense. It seems like you're always drawing the best guard on the opponent's side of the ball and having to guard these guys. Talk about some of the guys that you have had to guard this year. We've seen some really good guards, and it starts with a guy who's probably going to be drafted in the top 5, John Morant from Murray State.
Yeah, John Morant. Let's see, UIC, Godwin Bowen.
Barnes from Indiana State.
Jordan Barnes from Indiana State, Marcus Peters from
Mississippi
State. Yeah, so we played a lot of good guards this year. And me just being kind of our stopper, just taking on that task of being assigned to the best guards is definitely something I got to keep improving on, because right now I'm not at a good spot with it. I feel like a lot of the team's guards are getting off on us, and it starts with me being a senior, being a good defensive player. It starts with me, so we got a lot of things to work on. But, yeah, we've seen a lot of good guards, and we're just going to continue to keep seeing them, because Youngstown State has some good guards coming up. Appleby from Cleveland State's really good. So it doesn't get any easier. And with that being said, it's just something we got to work on.
Do you think the type of players that you've had to take on early in the non-league schedule is going to be helpful against some of these guys you talk about here in the Horizon League?
Definitely was always a help, just because seeing good guards, non-conference-wise, it only just prepares you for what you're possibly going to see in conference. And now the level may not be the same. Obviously, we played some really good non-conference games, and their players are obviously a little bit better. But definitely the attitude in terms of defensively, like the mindset, it's still the same.
Mark, we've run out of time, but thanks a lot for taking time here on the first day of classes and joining us on the Scott Nagy Show.
Thank you.
And good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Senior Mark Hughes here with us, and for Coach Brown, this is Chris Collins. Thanks for those back in the station, all those here making it possible. Hope to see you out again next Monday as the Raiders now next up against Youngstown State, the Penguins. That game coming your way at 7 o'clock. We'll be on the air on the radio beginning at 6:45. Again, for those who subscribe, it's on ESPN+. Again, thank you very much for this, being with us on the Scott Nagy Show, and also for the Katrina Merriweather Show. And we'll see you again next Monday. This is Wright State University basketball.